I was happening, y'all. It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I know I've been putting out a lot of videos, but what I haven't done yet is break down what has happened in training camp so far. Days 1 and 2. Here is the summary, the analysis, the breakdown, the complete walkthrough, position group by position group. If y'all have been following me long enough, you know when it comes to these practices, whether it be mini camps, OTAs, training camp, whatever, we go position group by position group, starting with the offense and the defense, going quarterback, running back, wide receiver, etc., etc. So we're going to be able to talk about most of the players, if not all of the important ones. And I'm going to be brutally honest. Again, if y'all have followed me long enough, you know that if somebody had a bad day, I'm going to let you know they had a bad day, why and how. Same thing with the good day, with good plays they made, with bad plays they made. There's some people that made some good plays and some bad all within the same day or over the course of these past 2 days. Again, since I didn't have enough time to break down what happened day 1 of training camp, I'm giving y'all the full detailed breakdown of everything that's happened the first 2 days in this one video. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure y'all pull up to the Friday night stream, 7 to 9 p.m. where we talk about everything, sports, music, anime, whatever. And then also make sure y'all pull up for the Sunday stream starting at 6 p.m., running for about an hour or hour and a half. And that's the call-in show where y'all call in, you ask whatever questions you may have, or bring up whatever good points you may have, or if you just want to completely rant about something. Now that training camp is going down, we have a lot to discuss on that Sunday show. So make sure y'all all pull up and call in and voice your opinions. And without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, from day 1, the first player on the field for the 2022 training camp, the first Commander player to ever touch the training camp field, it was wide receiver Marken Michel. Now granted, that doesn't necessarily mean much, but I felt like that was noteworthy to point out. Jahan Dodson is our first ever first round pick since we've been the Washington Commanders, and hopefully we stay this for a very long time, if not forever. And Marken Michel is the first ever player to touch training camp soil since we've been the Washington Commanders, and hopefully he can make more memories than just that. Also, I know a lot of y'all may have been questioning it and may have seen it, but the players are wearing these specialized helmets for the first portions of training camp. They're intended to reduce head trauma, of course. Rivera said the Guardian caps remove the clack of the helmets, absorb some of the shock, and help reduce concussions. The linemen, tight ends, and linebackers wore them the past 2 days, but Rivera said that he wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being mandated across the entire league at some point, at least for practices, and maybe even throughout the entire training camp rather than just the beginning of it. Also, remember Ron Rivera was fined last month for excessive contact, and Rivera spoke on it yesterday. He said that coaches reinforce the standards for contact in practices, though not because of the punishment from OTAs. Rivera said that he disagreed with the penalty straight up. Also, just to let y'all know, because I know we haven't seen pads yet, and I know a lot of people are wondering, you will not see pads until next Tuesday. Also, of course, everybody knows, I already put out a video about it, that Chase Roulier has been taken off of the PUP list. Tyler Larson is still on the PUP list, and Antonio Gandy-Golden has retired. Also, Chase Young, Logan Thomas, and Antonio Gibson are all working on the side field. So even though they're not participating in actual team drills, at least they're out there, and Chase Young is walking around just fine. He doesn't have a leg brace on or anything, so we'll see how long it takes for him to come back fully healthy. Logan Thomas, Antonio Gibson, they look pretty straight as well. Antonio Gibson is more so just out of an abundance of caution, but we're going to talk about him when we get to the running back section of the video. Logan Thomas, all he has on is a leg sleeve, and again, Chase Young doesn't have on a leg brace or sleeve at all. Now, I can't exactly tell you what that means, but it sounds like that's a good thing. Sounds like we should have room to be optimistic about that situation. Now the quarterbacks. Well, first of all, the first day, Rivera said that he described Carson Wentz as hyper, but liked how he handled the basics, getting in and out of the huddle and all of the little stuff, all of the technical things, all of the things that it takes time to build chemistry and gain a rhythm. He likes where Carson Wentz is at when it comes to that. And in individual drills, Carson Wentz and Terry McLaurin look like they have A1 chemistry. He's hitting them right in stride, the throws are accurate, and they're literally practicing drills that will help Terry McLaurin be able to get some more yards after catch. He's like running drills where it's like a fairly shallow out route and then he immediately turns up the field type of thing. So they're trying to get that chemistry down because, again, they're trying to get a lot of yards after catch out of all of these receivers. They're trying to get more out of Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Dodson and Curtis Samuel are literally known for their yards after catch. So this should be really exciting, man. I think they're doing everything that they can to simplify this offense for Carson Wentz. He's going to have plenty of check down options out of the running back group and receivers and the tight ends. He's going to have a lot of big targets in the red zone throughout the entire field. He's going to have a bunch of fast guys that are always going to be open, and they're already working on getting him accustomed to throwing shorter routes in stride so that the receivers can maximize their yards after catch. I love it. Hopefully this is going to be a brand of Carson Wentz football to where he's not forcing things and making too many mistakes. I love the big arm, but with as good as his defense should be and with as talented as his offense is, I think him not doing too much is perfect for us. And again, you can just see that Scott Turner is doing everything in his power to create that brand of Carson Wentz football here for the Washington Commanders. But yesterday was okay. It was pretty good for Carson Wentz, but today it was ugly. I mean, the theme of the day is that the defense dominated, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to individual players and individual plays that were made, especially in the secondary. But staying with the quarterback, Carson Wentz and Terry McLaurin were visibly frustrated at times in today's practice as they super struggle to get into any type of rhythm. Again, individual drills where there's no defense, it's just Carson Wentz and Terry McLaurin, they look good. But when that defense gets up there, it's looking a little rough. And of course, when a quarterback and a wide receiver are not clicking, it's technically both players' fault to an extent. It's just whether or not it's more so one guy's fault than the other. Now, Terry McLaurin has earned every benefit of the doubt, even though he has missed all offseason practices until yesterday. But I'm still just going to assume Carson Wentz got to get it together more than Terry McLaurin got to get it together for sure. Now, granted, there were moments today, and we're going to talk about that soon, the big flashy plays, the big 60-plus yard bombs. But for the most part, the good plays were very few and far in between. And overall today, it was a very frustrating day for the offense, man. Again, Terry McLaurin and Carson Wentz were both visibly frustrated. But at the same time, man, the team loves Carson Wentz. I mean, look at this part of Carson Wentz's interview with JP Finlay. Charles Leno pulls up and trolls him, man. Kind of some Chris Baker vibes right there, man.
Favorite offensive lineman?
Favorite offensive lineman?
Anyone not named Leno, probably.
And moving on from Carson Wentz, Sam Howell's arm looks like something. First of all, when Carson Wentz, Sam Howell, and Cole Kelly are throwing the ball, all of their arms kind of look similar in strength. And then here comes Taylor Heinicke out here with the pea shooter. And that's not to get on Taylor Heinicke or anything, but I just wanted to let people know that Sam Howell's arm does look lively. It's up there with Carson Wentz and the guys. So that's really good. Now, granted, all of the mental stuff, all of the processing stuff, all of the nuance stuff, everything that why he's considered raw coming out of the draft, he's still struggling with those things, but his arm looks really good. And so going into preseason, don't expect him to be running any type of specific plays. Expect him to basically be running somewhat of vanilla offense, but of course he's also going to be going against vanilla defenses. So I'm expecting Sam Howell to ball out in the preseason either way, especially with that arm and that running ability. And Taylor Heinicke didn't have an exceptional day either. I mean, all of the quarterbacks pretty much struggled today. It wasn't a good day from either one of them. But of course, the quarterback with the worst day was Cole Kelly. Like I already told y'all weeks ago, he's just another Steven Montez, a huge guy with a live arm that's going to make some exciting plays in preseason. But he's the guy that's going to end practice on an interception. When the fourth team offense went out there, first of all, it was the worst offensive performance of the day out of any of the teams. Again, first team Carson Wentz, second team Taylor Heinicke, third team Sam Howell. But when Cole Kelly went out there, it somehow even got worse, even with those other guys having their fair share of struggles. Cole Kelly threw an interception that led the defense to celebrate as if the practice was over. And Ron Rivera called everybody back to run some more plays. And then not even an entire minute later, another interception. And then they were just like, all right, we're just going to go ahead and end practice now. And that's literally what Steven Montez used to do. His interception was basically the signal of the end of practice. It was almost as if like if Steven Montez or Cole Kelly, for this case now, if they don't throw an interception, practice isn't over yet. Moving on to the running backs. Ron Rivera says that he sees Antonio Gibson as more of a off-the-edge threat who's got elusiveness, while Robinson will add the interior ability. So again, we're going to see Antonio Gibson running more so outside of the tackles. We're going to see Brian Robinson running more so inside the tackles, which we kind of expected. I mean, of course, I'm expecting a little bit of both from Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson, but we're going to talk about Brian Robinson soon and why I'm even more excited about him since just these training camp practices have started, man. It's a lot of great news, but let's stay with Antonio Gibson real quick. First of all, he's being held out of an abundance of caution right now, Rivera said. The plan is to ramp up Gibson before throwing him out there. So he's dealing with a slight tweakage with a hamstring injury right now. He's still slightly recovering from it. He looks good, like he walks normal and everything, but there's no reason to force it yet. It is the first week of training camp. Don't hurt yourself. Don't give him too much on his plate, and then he ends up being hurt, and then now we're wondering whether or not he's going to be ready by week 1. So I like the fact that they're being overly cautious with him, and they're just going to slowly ramp him up to coming back. But since Antonio Gibson has been out and basically just on the side field, Brian Robinson has taken all of the snaps with the ones since Gibson's been out. And even when they start doing the running back drills, Brian Robinson is the first running back. He's leading the group. So I think that's really interesting, even just as a leadership standpoint. And he's getting reps with the ones. He's with the first team offense going against the first team defense, and I think that experience is priceless. Like Jahan Dotson, even though we would have loved to have Terry McLaurin at OTAs and mandatory minicamps and all that type of stuff, it was irreplaceable experience and snaps that Jahan Dotson was getting in place of Terry McLaurin. He was basically the wide receiver 1 in practices, especially with Curtis Samuel recovering from his injury, and that experience is priceless. That's irreplaceable. And so Brian Robinson's kind of getting the same thing, where you prefer to have Antonio Gibson back, but Brian Robinson is getting an opportunity to be the number 1 running back right now, and he's living up to the moment. Brian Robinson, first of all, is your big, strong, powerful running back, and Rivera said that with Brian Robinson, he's going to take plays into the inside with his physicality, but another layer to his game that a lot of people don't realize that he has, and as a Georgia Bulldog fan, I've seen it quite a bit, but the Commanders are trying to bring it out of him even more than he did in college, and they're going to throw the ball to him. So far, in the first 2 days of practice, he's been effective catching passes out of the backfield. Like, hands look solid, no bobbling around, and he looks like he's ready to take off for some yards every time he catches it as well. So basically, put the rest, all of the concern about, like, oh, Brian Robinson's on the field, so they're just going to stack the box. They already know we're just trying to get some short yardage or something like that. No, when Brian Robinson's on the field, the entire playbook is still open. You can pass the ball, you can run them outside, you can run them inside, and I love that. That's going to be huge. That's one of the main advantages to the offense that Scott Turner likes to run. He likes to have versatile guys, dual threat, triple threat guys, positional flex guys, to where they're on the field, it doesn't automatically signal what we're about to do. And that includes Brian Robinson. When he's on the field, that doesn't necessarily mean we're just about to run it into the A gap, just HB dive. We can do anything. He can catch a pass out of the backfield and everything. And not showing your cards is huge in football. I mean, it's half strategy, half athleticism and talent, honestly. And then lastly, before we leave the running backs, of course, JD McKissick is doing JD McKissick things. He had one play where he sprint to the sideline and got a sizable gain. So he's still doing this thing in the passing game. I'm excited to hear that. But of course, everybody's focus is mostly on Brian Robinson. We already know what JD McKissick can do. We got to see if Brian Robinson is ready for the moment, and he looks like it. Moving on to the receivers, Terry McLaurin has basically just been getting open all day, even though so far in training camp, Kendall Fuller has been giving Terry McLaurin the most problems. We're going to talk about that when we get to Kendall Fuller though. But Terry McLaurin is having some good practices for sure. Granted, him and Carson Wentz did not have good chemistry today, but they're working on it. But at the same time, again, Carson Wentz threw a deep ball along the right sideline of Terry McLaurin, and he caught it while falling backwards, kind of like that Chargers play week 1 last season. So they're already starting to create some magic. Moving on, just to let you know, slot wise, they're trying out Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson. They're switching the guys in and out for slot. Sometimes Jahan Dotson's outside, sometimes Curtis Samuel is outside. But at the end of the day, not only in training camp, but I'm expecting this to go into the regular season as well, and hopefully the postseason. These guys are going to be everywhere. I mean, Terry McLaurin will probably be in the slot occasionally, but I think Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson are such great slot receivers that we're definitely going to see Terry McLaurin in the slot the least. We're going to more so see those guys, but again, those guys are interchangeable. You'll have Curtis Samuel as the slot, or the Y some plays, or the Z some plays. Same thing with Jahan Dotson. And speaking of Curtis Samuel, day 1, he was running during some early wide receiver drills, so we were like, okay, is Curtis Samuel back? back? I don't know, because they keep allowing him to sit out of practices, so we'll see. But now he's full-blown practicing every day, and he had a great play today against Benjamin St-Juste. Now, again, we're going to talk about Benjamin St-Juste when we get to the DB group, and he's had great practices, but there was one play where Curtis Samuel looked like that Carolina Curtis Samuel that dominated us when he played us right before we signed him as a free agent. It was very 2020 Curtis Samuel, which is great to hear. I mean, he put on a juke that just had Benjamin St-Juste going the complete wrong way and was able to gain a lot more yards after catch because of it. And again, that's what I love to hear, man. If we can get Curtis Samuel fully healthy and fully explosive and fully what he was in 2020, especially what he did against us, I'm ready. And then moving on to Jahan Dodson. First of all, everybody has probably seen that Carson Wentz slot fade to Jahan Dodson against Benjamin St-Juste. Again, Benjamin St-Juste had a great day today, and that's even great coverage on this play. I'm about to go ahead and show the clip now. Like, the coverage was great, but Jahan Dodson is just a different type of guy. The hands are beautiful. I mean, I can see where people are saying he does have the best hands on the team. I also like the fact, shouts out to Ivory for bringing up this point, that he brought his hands up late, so Benjamin St-Juste didn't have enough time to react. You know, corners look at receivers, especially in man coverage, to see, okay, he's bringing his arms up. That means the ball is probably coming soon. But Jahan Dodson waits to the last second to bring his arms up, and that basically gives Benjamin St-Juste no chance to stop it. And even so, Benjamin St-Juste still had excellent coverage from beginning to end of this play, but it was a great dime from Carson Wentz, and we need to see a lot more of this throughout this season from Carson Wentz. But also great play by Jahan Dodson, man. I mean, I honestly can't even tell you the last time we've seen stuff like that. I mean, Kyle Allen had one to DeAndre Carter, but DeAndre Carter dropped it. And then sprinkled throughout last season, we would have guys open over the top, but Taylor Heinicke wouldn't see him, or would throw it late, or wouldn't be able to get it to him at all anyway a lot of the time. So it's nice to finally see some 60-yard deep bomb touchdowns. Finally. You know, most teams in the NFL have had this for years on end. I mean, consecutively. This is new to us. Also, Dax Milne had some nice back-to-back catches in the first day of practice. So, you know, he's doing his thing. He's moderately out there doing his thing, making plays. Nothing too crazy, but still doing his thing and making his case to make the roster. And lastly, before we leave the wide receivers, I'm hearing a lot about Dyami Brown's speed is still crazy. Even though his 40 time doesn't necessarily say it, he's out there with lightning speed is what I'm hearing from reporters. Then the tight end group, starting with Sammis Reyes, because I'm a big Sammis Reyes fan, even though I would not put my life savings on the fact that he will make this team, or even if he doesn't start off on injured reserve or PUP. But speaking of injuries, he missed all of the offseason so far up until this point due to injury, but now he's back and he's competing in that tight end room. He's participating in individual drills as he's still recovering from his knee, and then even after practice, he's like one of the last guys on the field just working on catching and things like that. So I'm excited. I love to hear that because I want to see greatness from him. Then moving on to Cole Turner with Logan Thomas on the PUP list. Cole Turner has been getting a lot of reps with the ones and has made some really good catches. He's getting open. He's making catches when the ball is thrown towards him. Everything we can ask for. I can't wait to see some red zone drills with him to really see what he can do when coverage is easier and there's smaller windows. I can't wait to see if Carson Wentz can be able to throw it in that specific area where only Cole Turner can get it, and to see if we can maximize that potential. But as of right now, Cole Turner is already making plays. We haven't even gotten into the red zone drills yet. And I'm pretty sure Cole Turner's getting a lot of reps with the ones because we already know what we got in John Bates. And even beyond that, John Bates has been balling out. He's a great blocker, arguably one of the best blocking tight ends in football already. And he's catching things that are thrown towards him. One thing I am worried about, though, is that sources are saying that John Bates is still trying to figure out whether or not he's going to wear gloves this year. At times, Bates will be spotted wearing sans gloves, and it has previously been rumored that he does so in effort to avoid getting his hands too sweaty. So we'll see. I mean, so far, it looks like he's had great hands, but hearing that does concern me a little bit, but so far it hasn't affected his play, so I'm not too worried about it yet. And then lastly, tight end Curtis Hodges made a couple of plays these past 2 days as well, so his name is ringing. I'm really excited about Armani Rogers, but I haven't heard much from him at all yet. But again, y'all already know me, man. This tight end room is my favorite group on the roster. The most exciting to me with all the freak athletes and crazy talent. Granted, I'm not even a tight end guy, even though I'm about to become one because my Georgia Bulldogs have the best tight end group arguably in college football history. And now the Washington Commanders' most exciting position group this season is tight ends. I'm about to become Mr. Tight End, I'm not gonna lie. Now moving on to the offensive line, I'm hearing good things about Andrew Norwell. He had a really good rep against Casey Toohill, stopped him right on his tracks on a pass rush, and then the rep ended with Toohill on the ground. That was day one from practice. Even though overall the defensive line has been beating the offensive line, but we can expect that with chemistry issues. I mean, a lot of new additions. Chase Roulier, even though he's been activated off of the PUP list, that happened after practice, so we haven't even seen Chase Roulier practice yet in 2022. Last time we saw him was week 8 against the Denver Broncos. And on top of that, Trey Turner has a very minor injury. So in his place, Sadiq Charles has been the starting right guard. And Wes Schweitzer has been the starting right center. But now that Chase Roulier is back, I'm assuming Wes Schweitzer will probably become your starting right guard. And Sadiq Charles will be your backup second team guard. We'll see though. Now moving on to the defense. The winners of today especially. I mean, you can argue they had the better day yesterday, but today, as in Thursday, July 28th, the second day of training camp, the defense dominated. Now, first of all, again, you can see Chase Young walking out perfectly fine. No leg sleeve, no leg brace, no limp, no nothing. I mean, it looks like he should be able to play, but they're being cautious and he just must not be there yet. But with Chase Young out, that brings up the point, who's starting in his place? Well, so far, it's been Montez Sweat, Duron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and then James Smith-Williams. He's been the starting defensive end with Chase Young gone so far. I mean, there's other candidates there with F.A. Obata, who we signed in free agency. Of course, you have Casey Toohill as well, Boomy Rutimi, a lot of guys. But as of right now, James Smith-Williams is your starter. I don't know if that necessarily reflects on the depth chart or if they're just trying to see what he can do so they can go ahead and move on to the next guy and give that guy an opportunity to start. But as of right now, so far, first week of training camp, James Smith-Williams is your starting defensive end opposite of Montez Sweat. Speaking of Montez Sweat, one of the most dominant players out there so far in training camp practice. Again, it's only been 2 days, but so far Montez Sweat has been a top 3 player on the entire team. That's talking offense, defense, everything. Montez Sweat has been dominating. He's been unblockable. There was even a moment where they had a tight end come block him. My boy Armani Rogers, sadly. The only time I've heard his name brought up is when he's getting beat by Montez Sweat so bad that Montez Sweat is out here yelling and cussing at people. He said, "Don't effing put a tight end on me. How dare y'all?" And I mean, hey, I feel the same way. I mean, there may only be like 2 or 3 tight ends in the NFL that can even sort of slow down Montez Sweat, let alone completely stop him and block him out of the play. So I don't know why we set that up. I love Armani Rogers' potential, but I don't even necessarily see him as a good blocker. I see him as an elite receiving talent, like a Darren Waller tight end, or maybe like a Chase Claypool type of receiver type of guy. But him blocking Montez Sweat, we should have known that was food before the ball was snapped. I mean, I don't understand. But yeah, man, Montez Sweat as of right now is dominating and he's holding it down while Chase Young is out. Also, other part of the starting defensive line, Duron Payne has blown up multiple plays over the past couple of days, so he's dominating. Somebody also said Jonathan Allen looks bigger than ever. He looks stronger, bigger, everything. So he had his best season of his career last year, and we can maybe even expect him to have a better season moving forward. Double-digit sacks, second team, first team All-Pro, you know what I'm saying? Another Pro Bowl, let's get it. Also like the fact that the defensive line, they're doing some drills where they're taking on blockers, but they're also keeping their eye up for thrown objects. So I like that drill. Remember, that can teach them to bat down more balls at the line of scrimmage, which is huge, man. I mean, because if you bat it up, that's potentially an interception. And if you bat it down, worst case scenario is usually going to be an incompletion. So, hey, man, I like that drill. I still prefer to have Warren Sapp here with him preaching penetrate versus Sam Mills, who's teaching them to basically do what Nick Saban teaches defensive line to do, which is 2-gap responsibilities. Just hold guys up and look to make a play and allow the linebackers to make plays. I prefer the Warren Sapp strategy where you want the defensive linemen to be the ones to make the plays rather than them just being the people pushers and then you allow the linebackers to do it. I definitely prefer the Warren Sapp way, but at least Sam Mills III is on to something with that drill. And then the linebackers, not a lot to note, but Jamin Davis, you know, not necessarily great or bad, but he did miss a slightly difficult interception. It was catchable, but it wasn't easy, and he did drop it. And also, Cole Turner did catch his interception. It was a ball batted up and he was right there to get it. Something similar to the Cowboys game in FedEx Field where we started to make that comeback. Moving on to the defensive backs, and I don't really have any special teams news, so this will pretty much be the end of it, other than the fact that we're going to talk about some quotes, especially some Rivera stuff at the end. But lastly, the defensive backs group, and we got to start with Kendall Fuller because so far he's the one shining the most. He had a really good day today, especially. He was the one that batted the ball up, which allowed Cole Holcomb to get the interception off of Carson Wentz. And Ron Rivera even spoke on it. He said that he thought the back seven had a real nice day. A lot of it had to do with communication. We are working on some things a little bit new, and I think that catches people by surprise as far as the offense is concerned. But like I said, I was really pleased with what we got on the defensive side, unquote. And again, Kendall Fuller is one of the guys that's shining the most. If you had to rank it, it's probably Kendall Fuller 1A, Benjamin St-Juste 1B, or you can maybe flip that, maybe St-Juste 1A, Kendall Fuller 1B, and then it's William Jackson 3rd, and then it's everybody else. Again, Kendall Fuller has been the one giving Terry McLaurin the most problems in practices so far. And just to let you know, lineup wise, Washington is rotating Derek Forrest and Percy Butler when they go into their 3 safety looks, with Cameron Curl and Bobby McCain as your obvious starting safeties right now. Bobby McCain the free safety, Cameron Curl your starting strong safety, and there's a lot of the time when Derek Forrest or Percy Butler is your 3rd safety on the field, your Buffalo nickel, or maybe they're in coverage or whatever. And also St-Juste is primarily working as your nickel corner, so it's either Derek Forrest, Percy Butler, or St-Juste on the field a lot of the time. The vast majority of the time, it's at least one of those 3. Also, speaking of Derek Forrest, he's been having a really good camp so far. He had a really great pass breakup on Cam Sims, and it was on a play, again, with Cameron Curl and Bobby McCain as the safeties, and Derek Forrest was the 3rd safety on the play, and he was covering Cam Sims. I think that's huge. I mean, we know Derek Forrest is a heavy hitter. We know he has some range to him, but the fact that he has the versatility to cover a guy like Cam Sims as well, that's big. And that's not just athleticism for you to be able to break up a pass on Cam Sims. You got to be able to read, and there has to be some instincts involved there as well. Also, Benjamin St-Juste, speaking of him, with him covering guys in the slot and him being the primary slot receiver so far and excelling at it, I think it's really interesting that John Kahn pointed out that one play he's covering small, quick, shifty Jahan Dodson, the next play he's covering the tight end, and then the next play he's covering Curtis Samuel. So he's getting everything thrown towards him. Kendall Fuller has been balling, but he pretty much covers the same type and same play style comp of receiver. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dodson, or Curtis Samuel, things like that. And all of those guys, even though they're fairly different from each other, they're the same general thing. While Benjamin St-Juste is going from covering Jahan Dodson and Curtis Samuel to covering a tight end the next play. And he even had a really nice breakup on Cam Sims from a ball thrown by Carson Wentz. And it was a really accurate pass, but Benjamin St-Juste, just great coverage, a last second bat down. And going back to Percy Butler and adding in Christian Holmes, both of those guys have been making a lot of plays. Percy Butler is looking like a steal in the 4th round, and Christian Holmes is looking like a steal in the 7th. Christian Holmes had a really good pass breakup at some point in practice today, and Chris Harris was running all up and down the field screaming, "It's that type of day today," because the vast majority of DBs were balling today. They were all making plays, and Christian Holmes is one of them, and he's just building off of the hype that he's already built up from mandatory mini camps and OTAs. I've been hearing good things from him since then, and he's continuing it in training camp. Christian Holmes has mainly been out there with the 3rd team, and he's been balling. And Percy Butler has been showing great instincts, which that's the thing that once he's got that down, once he's got everything mentally, if you could just take Cameron Curl's brain and put it into Percy Butler, you literally have a Pro Bowl safety. And so he's already showing some good instincts with some pass breakups that he had today in practice. So I'm super excited because y'all know I'm a huge Percy Butler fan. I think this draft class can end up being something really special. And can't forget about William Jackson. He had a good day today as well. And when covering Cam Sims, he should have had an easy interception from a throw that Carson Wentz threw, but Cam Sims had the heads up play to knock the ball down. So, man, I mean, the DB's just out there balling, man. And then, but you have Troy Avkey, and he had an opportunity the first day for an easy interception from Taylor Heinicke, but he let it fall right out of his hands. I mean, it hit him right in the chest, right in the hands, and he dropped it. And you know, Chris Harris likes to say, I guess such and such doesn't like nice things, and apparently Troy Avkey does not like nice things. And before we leave, Ron Rivera has been basically raving about Bobby McCain and Cameron Curl. Again, Bobby McCain is starting free safety. Cameron Curl is starting strong safety. We'll see how we work in the other guys like Derek Forrest and Percy Butler. But as of right now, Ron Rivera loves them. He says that they're basically just picking up right where they left off from the second half of last season. Apparently, the second half of last season is more of who we are than the first half of last season. Communication, everything is working out perfectly fine. So I'm excited, man. This defense sounds like it's definitely ahead of the offense right now. Which takes me to some quotes before we get up out of here. First of all, Jonathan Allen was asked about wearing the padded Guardian helmets, and Jonathan Allen said no comment. I just thought that was kind of funny. And then also, shouts out to Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dodson, Chase Young, and Jonathan Allen spending time with fans after the practices, taking pictures, signing things. That's really dope. And then lastly, as practice ended, as the Carson Wentz portion of the practice ended, of course the defense dominated and Carson Wentz and company were frustrated, and that led to Coach Rivera to calling a lengthy post-practice meeting. After the practice was over, he had some things to say, and he actually focused more of it on the defense and not the offense. He basically explained that the defense is ahead of the offense right now, especially in terms of game planning and chemistry, and that the offense will come around. So he emphasized that the defense needs to stay humble, and he's urging the players to temper their enthusiasm right now after all of these big plays. He said, quote, "We should have gotten past the bump in the chest and all of that. Now it's about putting your arm around the offensive player and helping them improve," unquote. So he just wants these guys to stop getting on the offense and to more so help the offense, because right now it's an offensive league, so we need our offense to be better than our defense for sure. And hey, I mean, I love the fact that the defense is out there balling and letting the offense know that they're balling and talking trash and all of that stuff, but I see Ron Rivera's point as well. And Jonathan Allen even talked about it after practice, that the defense hasn't accomplished anything worth writing home about, so they love the energy. They love how hype everybody is. They love the fact that people love what they're doing. I mean, you're going out there and making plays you deserve to celebrate, because that's going to just give you a good feeling to want to go make more plays. But Ron Rivera is basically saying just stay humble, because first of all, right now y'all are ahead of the offense in a lot of different ways: chemistry, communication, game planning, play designs, all of that type of stuff. So when the offense catches up and they finally start clicking, it might get ugly for y'all. That's basically the main message, and I like that as well. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. And as always, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. I'm coming to y'all with daily content, multiple videos a day. So man, make sure y'all stay tuned. Catch y'all later. I'm out.